Welcome to the Michael Savage YouTube Christmas Eve special. Now, if you're there, I'm going to need you to participate, or this is going to be much shorter than it ordinarily could be. Christmas Eve could be the loneliest night of the year for many Americans. Are you lonely tonight? If you are, I want you to start answering me right now. Otherwise, I won't be here for very long. It'll be a quick hello and a quick goodbye. If you'd like me to be here with you, I need you to start streaming your answers. Okay, I'm not seeing many come up, so I guess I'm not going to do this. Happy holidays to you, Dr. Savage. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Very lonely. There you go. Political Zoo book is a pure masterpiece. Okay, you're there. Volume good? Sound good? Yeah? Do you want me to do this? Say yes. I need my audience. Now, I got to tell you something. I don't miss radio per se. I miss my audience talking with me. But with this, with YouTube, I can reach you without calling a station, without having to get a call screener, without having some douchebag looking over my shoulder from a syndicator company. No advertisers to worry about. God bless them, but they're not here. And I want to talk with you because I would tell you right now, this is the darkest Christmas I can ever remember, and it's not just me. We are living under a reign of terror with a smiling, senile bastard in the White House. Go ahead, censor me, see if I care. I have never in my life seen anyone get away with the murder he's committing upon this nation. Forget about the $100 billion to Ukraine. You could argue that they're being oppressed by the Russians and they need the money, but how much? At what point do we say we don't have the money anymore? When? When did we say, I'm sorry, Vladimir, you'll have to go and settle this deal with Putin. We can't do it anymore. We're afraid of a world war and we're going bankrupt from you. But that's not the reason it's so dark. These bastards just passed a budget, if you want to call it that. They wrote themselves checks for every piece of left-wing garbage you could imagine. If you think the bums in the streets are bad, if you think that the illegal aliens pouring over our borders diseased, and by the way, am I the only person in America who knows where this outbreak of flu and they don't know where it's coming from? I'm an epidemiologist, a PhD epidemiologist by training, so don't lecture me. You lousy bastards in the public health business. You should all be fired, you bastards. You're not doing your job. Your job is to protect the public's public health, you bastards, you. You're letting 5 million diseased illegal aliens come over the border. You know that tuberculosis is endemic in Central America. You know it, you lying bastards, you collecting your fat checks, all your little mini Faucis. You should be screaming from the rooftops, not me. Tuberculosis, flu, influenza, variety 1, 2 through nth degree. Why do you think the emergency rooms are overflowing with people? Because they're infecting us and we don't have the immunity to these strains of viruses and bacteria that they are bringing over the border. And it's Biden doing it to you. No other nation on earth would tolerate this. I'm only one man alone. That's all I am. I get angry. I can try to educate the public with the truth. But to what avail when you live in a country run by lying scum like Charles Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, a Goomba gangster from the get-go, when you're ruled by the Sopranos under the guise of this stumblebum in the White House, and by the way, don't tell me he's healthy. Every doctor knows you can tell he's sick by the gait, G-A-I-T. You can tell he can fake it sometimes because they are doing certain little, cocktails for him. That's why he can get through speeches. But if you watch him when he walks, the gait gives away the fact that he's suffering Parkinson's disease. The Frankensteinian shuffle. That's who's running the country. And then you got Schumer with the budget, celebrating what they're doing to this country. This is the darkest Christmas I have ever experienced in my whole life. I've never seen anything like it. Now, I did a little thing on Hanukkah the other night where I said that the whole meaning of Hanukkah is not just giving out ugly little candies with gold wrapper on it to get a sugar high. and lighting candles and spinning dreidels. That's for children. There's a bigger meaning. And the meaning is to tell the story of Antiochus, the Syrian who had conquered Israel at the time, ancient Israel, and took the temple and knocked over the holy, altar. And when the Maccabees, who fought back, reconquered Israel and took back the temple, and they went to the menorah. The holy oil is supposed to last one night, but it lasted 8 nights. That's the miracle of Hanukkah. But what does it actually mean? It means nothing to you. There's a lot of myths in every religion on earth. There's myths in every culture on earth, in every culture on earth. I'm a trained anthropologist. Believe me, I don't care whether you're studying the Native Americans of the Arctic, the Aleuts, or the Inuits, all the way down to the Seminoles in Florida. They also had myths. But the myth is not important, it's how the myth affects the individual. So what does this myth of Hanukkah supposed to do for us? Something your rabbi doesn't even know. They do the mumbo jumbo, that's all you know. They don't know what they're talking about, most of them. They know the rituals and the mumbo jumbo. But have they given you any inspiration? What the myth is about is that when you are knocked over inside and you can't go on, you're supposed to remember you have holy oil within, and you're trying to rekindle that holy oil. That's the whole myth of Hanukkah is not. No matter how far down you are, you got to reach in and rekindle that holy oil. I'm kind of out of holy oil. Tonight, I am almost out of holy oil myself. I can't believe what Schumer and these bastards are doing to this country. It wasn't bad enough insulting us with Zelensky showing up in a dirty fatigues to show he's on the front lines. Came from the front lines. Are you joking me? He couldn't put a suit on? That bum with the $100 billion we've given him, he couldn't have bought a Men's Warehouse suit used in Barney's, in Barney's attic somewhere? Or they must have one nearby. We could have sent him some dead man's pants. Merry Christmas, everybody. Jingle effing bells. This is the darkest Christmas I have ever seen under this gang. Now, why do I call it the Biden gang? Because they're a gang. Only a gang would do this to a population over and over and over again without any fear that there'd be retribution. They own the press. Take a look at Anderson Cooper, that pimp, that lousy pimp. He's the worst of all of them. He had the nerve after Zelensky came to almost come in his pants. He said, oh, he came here right from the front lines with the dirt of the soil of the front lines on his boots. You little jerk off, you. How do you think Anderson Cooper got where he is? You think he's such a great broadcaster? Hey, you don't know how he got where he is? How do you think half the people in the media who are in the media got where they are and stay where they are? Shall I tell you? You can't figure it out? You can't figure it out that they're put there? You haven't figured that out yet? Even with small audiences, they pay them $30 million a year. It's cheap. It's chump change. If they can give Zelensky $100 billion, what do you think they can give a jerk off on television? 20, 30 million is nothing to them. They just write him a check to keep putting out the lies to the gullible fools. Gullible's travels. So we're going broke. We have no borders because of the Biden gang. They've determined that they want to infect the entire nation with diseases. You say, they're not doing this on purpose. Well, they certainly should know that the emergency rooms are overflowing with people infected with viruses that didn't come out of the air. They didn't get it by spontaneous combustion. The illegal aliens that are pouring over the border, mainly, by the way, husky young men, many of whom are drug mules. You think I'm making this up? Go and ask the DA of San Francisco who the drug sellers are in every corner, where they're from. They're from another country. Do you understand that? Healthy, strapping young men pouring over the border with fentanyl, killing millions of people, bringing in diseases. So I read a story this morning that got my goat, and it was this one. I put it up on Twitter. I got to read this to you. It really got me angry because none of these things happen by accident. I wrote this: the stench from the bench is making me clench. It's a phrase I used in the 90s. I discovered that even liberal San Francisco tried to clean up the streets and get the homeless filth off the streets, by taking down their tents and throwing their trash in the garbage. They have shelters to go to. But the ACLU, who, by the way, are the terrorists with law degrees, sued the city. A federal judge, a piece of shit, a federal piece of shit in a black robe. I have no other words for it. What, he's wearing a robe, he's a federal judge? A piece of turd in the toilet bowl has more integrity than that judge. No, you can't sue, they said. What do you mean, you said? A judge, a filthy, stinking lawyer in a black robe makes him something special? And who put him up there? The Anti-Christian Liberties Union, who, by the way, is a domestic terrorist organization by any definition, in my humble opinion. The ACLU has been running rampant on this nation for 50 years. The ACLU, if I had the power, I'd arrest them all. All the leadership would go into prison. They'd be tried under domestic terrorism charges. Stench from the bench is making me clench. It's the ACLU vermin who block cities from clearing homeless cesspools from our streets. Arrest the ACLU lawyers as domestic terrorists. Federal judge says San Francisco can't clear homeless camps. A judge has temporarily banned San Francisco from clearing the streets of the homeless shit, the garbage, the filth, the infected junkies in the streets. And we, the people, are powerless. We're powerless to even say anything. So I'm saying it to you because you don't even know why this is happening. When even a liberal mayor like London Breed, God knows where they dug her up from, even she wants the filthy bums off the streets because it's so bad for business that this is the most empty downtown in all of America. It was once a beautiful city. Beautiful city. I loved it. I used to love walking around, and slowly but surely I saw it growing into this open homeless camp. These filthy pieces of human trash. I have no sympathy for them. They should be rounded up and given the care that they need. Okay, I'm going to slow down. So they go to one judge, the filthy bums, the degenerate terrorists, and the ACLU shop it to a filthy judge, just like they did 20 some odd years ago when I held a huge rally outside the federal building in downtown San Francisco. We voted for Prop 209. 7 million people voted for Prop 209. And one disgusting, filthy piece of garbage judge, Thelton Henderson, a former ACLU lawyer, overrode the votes of 7 million people. One filthy, disgusting domestic terrorist judge did this to us. One judge. That's a democracy? You're living in a republic? You're living in a gang. We're a gang. It's a gang running America right now. It's a very dark Christmas indeed, when one stinking, filthy ACLU judge can override millions of voters and say you must let someone shit in the street outside a restaurant window, like I saw a few weeks ago, a while ago. I mean, the last time I ate in San Francisco, I was in a restaurant in North Beach on Columbus Avenue. I looked out the window. A guy dropped his pants and took a crap right outside the window. I swear I never could go back. I can't get it out of my mind. You know, certain things you can't get out of your mind. Do you know that no civilized city on earth would take that? Do you know that no third world city would permit a man to drop his pants and take a shit outside a window? Do you know that? Do you know what they do? See, I can't say it on YouTube. This is not my channel. There's not a third world nation that would permit a man to drop his pants and take a shit in the streets outside while his women and children are walking by. Not even a third world nation, but we tolerate it. We were so beaten up in this country by people like Jake Tapper, Wolf Blitzer. I can name them all. They're the garbage of the world, put it there by the CIA and the FBI. That's why they're there, in plain English. They wouldn't last 10 minutes if they weren't put there by the controllers. So where do we go from here? It's a very dark Christmas indeed. You want me to give you a Jingle Bells job? You're asking what would cause a man to lose his shame that way? I don't really care. If the man's mentally ill, the police round him up and put him into a bug house and medicate him and put him into a straitjacket. What do you mean, how'd he get there? Who gives a shit how he got there? I want my country back. I want my streets back. I want my border back. I want my language back. I don't like the garbage that I hear in the street. I don't even hear English anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Most of them don't even speak their own language. They can't even read or write Spanish. You don't know that either. Most of the illegal aliens that Biden is dumping on America come from countries where they're not wanted in their own country. Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua. These are the extras on the stage of these countries. None of these countries want these bums. They want them out of their own countries. So the stupid gringos not only let them in, but they wait there with them. The Catholic Charities waits there for them with care packages. You see these guys? New haircuts, new sneakers, nice clothing. And there's a nice nun standing there with a package for them. You bum you. You bum you Catholic charity bums. But they're not alone. It's not them alone. Baptist Family Services, Jewish Family Services, Protestant Family Services. They're all gangsters under the guise of religions. These are not religions. These are not religions. These are businesses like Al Sharpton's National Action League. That is a subdivision. That's a nonprofit. This is not freedom. We're living in a tyranny. No, we can't overcome evil with good. Those days are over. That's crap. Study history, you'll find out what happens to those who try to overcome evil with good. You wind up dead yourself. Don't give me that garbage about the turn the other cheek. I've turned my other cheek so many times I have no cheeks left. It's enough already. Borders, language, culture. That defines a nation. That will be my number one legacy. Borders, language, culture. Without those pillars, there is no nation. End of story. You can't define a nation any other way. Borders, language, culture. I spoke to a man from a small Caribbean nation a while ago. And he said, well, of course borders are necessary. That's how we protect our island nation. Otherwise, we had no border patrol, we would have no nation. It would be overrun. A little nation, I don't know where it was, in the Caribbean. I was there 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Look what they've done to this nation. Millions of us powerless, rendered powerless. And they tell us we're the bad guys because we love our nation. We pay the fucking taxes. We pay the taxes, God damn you. How many of you pay nothing? The bums in the street should vote? Are you joking? If I were the president, which I'll never be because I'm running for nothing, if you're on welfare, you don't vote. You lose the right to vote. You hear me? You're on welfare, no vote. Because you're going to vote yourself a raise, you bum. What do you think you're going to do? Only taxpayers get to vote. Only taxpayers get to vote in my America. Not someone who's a leech, a bum, an illegal alien. They don't get to vote. Because, of course, they're going to vote themselves a raise. Borders, language, culture. Mark my words. Nobody has ever defined a nation more succinctly than I did when I created that phrase. It was in 1994 when I created the Paul Revere Society. I guess Paul Revere would be arrested today as a terrorist, by the way. George Washington would be called a domestic terrorist. The founding fathers would be called racist terrorists by the vermin scum who run the country now. The low-life bums who can't keep up in universities, you put them into the colleges, they can't keep up, so they call you a racist. You hear? That's how it works. I saw another story that got my goat this morning. I tried not to do this today. Here, look at this one. Crazed principal hides awards to top students so not to hurt the feelings of the dummies in the name of equity. White woman, nice-looking woman, top school principal in a Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, which used to be one of the greatest high schools in the country. They admitted that the decision they withheld the information that some kids won the National Merit Scholarship because it affected the minorities, the stupid minorities who couldn't keep up. And by the way, most of those who won were minorities. They were Asians. But you see, there's a difference between people. Not all minorities are the same. Not all majorities are the same, as you well know. There are differences in human beings, differences in cultures. So she wouldn't even notify these kids that they won the National Merit Scholarship because it would have offended the dummies. There it is. That got me first. Then I wrote this one when we see the weather, what it is. I wrote, all the warmest are freezing. The climate change industrial complex grifters are all on vacation in the Caribbean. Where are they now? Not opening their big mouths? Where's Greta Van Thunberg? Greta Van Thunberg, a hero of the universe. Probably on vacation in someone's mansion in Miami or in the Caribbean in St. Bart's, partying away the night. And we listen to these assholes. Merry Christmas, everyone. Jingle fucking bells, man. Jingle fucking bells. I can't take it anymore. Get the kids off this. Get the kids off this thing. I said, no, it's not for kids. I can't take it anymore. You want me to talk about Sam Bankman-Fried and his rotten, stinking Stanford professor parents? Grifters, criminals, all of them. First, he says he's not going to accept extradition. So the Jamaica judge, the judge of the Bahamas, who they thought they owned, said, okay, we're putting you into the hellhole. So they put him in the hellhole, and he gets separate treatment from the other black prisoners. That's number one. Not one word from the left about Bankman-Fried. He got special treatment even in the prison in the Bahamas. Wait, then when he realized he outsmarted himself by saying he's going to fight extradition to America, because his lawyers milked him for probably a couple of $10 million to, well, we'll keep you, you'll live in the penthouse while we're appealing the extradition. So he decided, now I'm going to be extradited. The next thing you know, he's not being extradited to the Brooklyn House of Detention where he belonged. Where is he? He's at a mansion in Palo Alto where his disgusting grifter parents took him. Did you hear? That's where he went. He's in his parents' mansion in Palo Alto. I know it's not a particularly nice house, a piece of garbage, but in that area it costs $4 million. I would call that a mansion compared to how most people live on Earth. So that's where he is. And he's allowed out for exercise. You hear that tub of lard? He's allowed out for exercise. What's he going to do? Go in the woods and get some exercise? Him and that ugly girlfriend of his boasting about taking speed? Yeah, I know they want me to be calm. They don't want me to have another heart attack. I get it. I want to tell you something. If I kept this in tonight, I will have another heart attack. I can't sleep at night. I have never seen anything like what Biden and the gang are doing to this country. And the complicity of the phony Republicans. Please don't tell me about Republicans. Are you joking? The gobbler? The chin? I've been calling the gobbler for 10 years. We all knew who he was, but no one knew how bad he actually was. Nobody knew how. But McConnell's from Kentucky. Kentucky's a moonshine state. So I call him affectionately no longer the gobbler. I call him Moonshine Mitch. You could laugh about him because all we got left when we're powerless is ridicule. All we got left when we're powerless is ridicule. Bums in the streets. Even the left-wing mayor says enough is enough. We're losing our businesses. The city's going to disappear. We're going to lose our cities. So even she got smart. London Breed, she passed the law to round them up and give them the care they need. One stinking, filthy judge is there, and the case is brought to him by the Anti-Christian Liberties Union. Now, of course, you know why I'm not on AM radio and why Squeaky is still on and Mickey Mouse with Laughing Gas is still on and the traffic light is on. They pose no threat. I always posed a threat. And Nancy Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi, what a wonderful human being she is. Well, we'll talk about her another night, not right now. She isn't even worth a breath out of me. All the warmest are freezing. The climate change industrial complex grifters are on vacation in the Caribbean. Here's another one. Communist Cuba starving its citizens unless they have dollars from gringos. Poor Cubans under communism. They can't find a pork leg to make for Christmas for their family. That's what they like. I don't eat pork. I eat very little meat. But that's not the point. People eat meat. They want it. They can't get it in Cuba unless they get gringo dollars coming in from people overseas. That's the miracle of Cuba. I'd send everyone in the ACLU to Cuba on a one-way boat with enough fuel to get them there and they can never come back. One-way trip to Cuba. That's where I'd send them. All the lawyers in the ACLU. What else did I talk about today? Well, I think I've covered the ground. The podcast came up yesterday, A Christmas Gift, Ross Savage on Zelensky's visit, and Christophobia, and more. I talked about Christophobia, which is raging through the Western world. Christophobia, the hatred for Christians is overwhelming. Beating up of Jews, mainly by black males, a national epidemic, and everyone says nothing. Every day you pick up the paper, New York Post, another one, another religious Jew beaten up by another black male. I'm sorry to tell you what's going on. Who unleashed this black hatred against Jews? How did it start? Where did it come from? Has it always been there? Why the religious Jews? What have they done to the blacks? Nothing. Nothing, but they're peace-loving, they're pious people, they don't bother anybody, they're family-oriented, and they pray to God and they go to work. Every day another one punched in the nose, hit with a stick, hit with a bat, stabbed, pushed in the gutter. This is what went on in Germany. This is just what went on in Nazi Germany. And it's an epidemic of enough already. And then when Trump had Kanye West, a bum, a piece of... When I saw that meeting between Trump and Kanye West and the Nazi, whoever his name is, Fuentes, I said that was the end of the road for me. Now, of course, Trump is backtracking and saying, he shouldn't have done it. Well, he's finally woken up. But let me tell you something. I was in the Oval Office. I was in awe of the desk that I sat at when President Trump had me there. I know the history of that incredible desk. Most of you who could study the history of the desk, 7 presidents had that desk. They conducted national business on that beautiful desk, which was made from the timbers of a great American warship. And I loved it. I loved being there. I knew I was making history in my own world. I was making history by being there. I took it. It was sacred. It was like being in a sacred place. Then all of a sudden, this degenerate rapper, Kanye West, with his filthy wife, they come in, and what does Kanye West do? He throws his feet up on that desk, that sacred desk. I would have had the Secret Service throw that bum out on his ass. I would have had them pick him up and say, that's it, get the hell out of here, you filthy bum. I don't care if you're worth $2 billion. Get out of here, you bum, with your fake wife there, with the fake ass and the fake tits and the fake face. Get the hell out of here, you bum. I never would have had him in there. But the daughter and the son-in-law talked them into it. And then the next thing the country got from Kanye West was prison reform. That's what they got out of it. Kim Kardashian, that piece of human trash. She's a waste of human DNA. She's done more to destroy women's minds of what their face should look like. She's a plastic fake, nothing. She's like, the entire thing is invented. She's an invention, waste of DNA. So I got started here, but I haven't finished. Where are we going to go? How are we going to save this nation from this gang? This gang has years left to destroy and rape us. They're raping us. The Statue of Liberty has her skirts lifted up and they're being gang raped by the Biden gang. I'll be so graphic that you'll never forget it. Biden and his gang have lifted the skirts of the Statue of Liberty and they're gang raping her. They're sodomizing the Statue of Liberty. Schumer is sodomizing the Statue of Liberty. You want to start talking about religion? Religion. Why do you think they're going after religion? First, they just beat up the Jews in the streets, and they see how far they can go. They're burning churches. There's been more church burnings in this country than you can imagine, not reported by the Anderson Coopers of the world, because they are the propagandists put here by La Pravda, Izvestia. Churches are burning. That's just what went on during the Bolshevik Revolution. They killed priests, they burned churches, they arrested the religious Jews. I've told the story over and over and over again about the rabbi, the chief rabbi of Moscow. Do you want to hear it again or not? Or you had enough? I've been on for 29 minutes now. What are they doing to our children to destroy them? To me, I always said, I don't care what you do with your sexuality, but you cross that line with our children, That's the line. That's the Rubicon. You crossed it, you bastards, you. I know Zelensky's closed up the Orthodox Christian church that's tied to the Russian Orthodox Church. I know who he is. He's a terrorist in his own country. Oh, I know it's necessary at a time of war. Really? Close down all the opposition TV, radio, and newspapers. That's what you're supporting? You're supporting democracy in Ukraine? Okay. Pelosi, who's never seen a flag she didn't want to crap on. Pelosi, who's never seen an American flag she didn't want to step on, spit on, suddenly holds up a Ukrainian flag, and the face, the glorious little face of hers. Her and that dumbass Kamala Harris holding the flag up in my House of Representatives, in my people's house, holding up a flag, a foreign flag. Have you ever seen them hold up an American flag? Well, I think I'm going to go now because I've given you my view of the darkest Christmas of my life. And I've been around a few Christmases. I am Jewish, but I always loved Christmas. It was my favorite holiday. People were happy, the streets, the snow, shopping. People were more cheerful and forgiving of each other. We had faith, some faith in the government. We knew they were all bums and corrupted. They wouldn't have gone into it to begin with. We knew that. It was a given that anyone who goes into politics is a crumb bastard bum. We knew that. No one else would go into the political world unless they're a crumb bastard bum loser. That's all. We all knew that. But they never crossed a certain line. They were never traitors. We never had that. Never traitors. We never had politicians who were open traitors. Never. So now I look around. Who represents us? Who speaks for us? Who represents you? Who speaks for you? Who? And the worst is yet to come. Wait until you see these 5 million illegal aliens that came in. Have you seen any of them working? By the way, most of the workers that you see in restaurants are Hispanic, and they're very hardworking people, and I've spoken to them for 25 years. They know that this wave coming in now are not like them. They're not coming here to work. They're coming here simply to invade this country. They're a foreign army. They're a militant army. A militant army, a militant army. And the Hispanics I know don't want them here. The Mexican waiters don't want them here. The Mexican maids that I know don't want them here. One said to me, Michael, I said, you work very hard. They don't work. Where are they? Living in hotel rooms? Who's paying for these bums? Where are they? I don't see them hiring. I don't see them working. Where are they? Where are all these millions of illegal aliens going? What are they coming here for? There's a lot more to be said. And I can't do it all in one night in 33 minutes, but I know many of you are very lonely and lost and alone, or you wouldn't be listening to me. Truthfully, you wouldn't even be listening right now. You'd be happy somewhere, getting drunk with family and friends. But you're alone. I'm alone. Why am I not with anyone after all I've done for the world? Because I want to be alone. I used to put on events, 2,000 people, compassionate conservative events. I could do that. But I don't feel like being with people. I just don't feel like being with people. I don't feel good about my nation. And I feel as bad as it is, it's going to get much worse. Especially for the people who believe in God. You are next. You're already the target, but you're a light touch now. Wait until you see what the Bolsheviks do to you next. Led by the lesbians mainly. I'm going to say it like it is. I really don't care if they get censored. I've been banned in Britain. I've been thrown off radio stations. I've been thrown off TV stations. I've been thrown off MSNBC. I don't give a shit anymore. I don't care. I've had enough. It's the lesbians leading this push against religion. That's right. First they came for the churches, then they came for the schools. Just check it out. They hate men, And of course, Jesus is a man. And of course, the patriarchy, the church is run by a patriarchy. They're going to take down the head, which is take down the man, which is take down the whole religion. You understand what this is? It's the witches again. The witches, my friends. It has nothing to do with sexual orientation. The sexual orientation follows the psychological orientation, which follows the hatred of the man, which follows the hatred of the nation, which follows the hatred of the flag. How is religion going to help you when they come for you? How many priests were killed by the Bolsheviks in Russia after the revolution of 1917? You don't know anything about it. How many churches were destroyed by Hitler? How many priests died in concentration camps? You never hear that. No, Savage is not drunk. Savage had no drinks. Go to hell. Go F yourself. Go to hell, all of you. You don't like me? Turn this off, you loser. I'm as sober as a saint. Listen to me. Listen to me what they did to priests in Nazi Germany. You know how many were killed? If only you knew, but you don't know. Of course they killed 6 million Jews, but 9 million others were also killed in the camps by the Nazis. Amongst them were priests, religious people, and opposition figures who opposed Hitler, Germans who opposed Hitler. They were put into camps. They were considered seditious, and they were put in camps by the Charles Schumers and the Nazi Party of the day. The Charles Schumers and the Nancy Pelosi's, who were Nazis then, said anyone who opposed Hitler was an enemy of the state. Priests were killed, churches were burned. Hitler was not Christian. Don't give me that crap. I've studied it in immense detail, and I'm a scholar. Hitler was not a Christian. He was not only an atheist, but he was a drug addict, a drug-addicted bum. Him and Goering were shooting up drugs, doing speed, and they believed in a different world, not in religion, not Christianity. Pagan. I was searching for the word pagan. I got a little off base for a minute. I really did. I must admit I had a Biden moment because I got upset. So the time here, I'm like on radio, it's 14 minutes to the hour, but I'm going to be leaving shortly. I've given you 38 minutes of my time tonight, and I'm glad you're with me. And the audience is rather small for my YouTube performances, 3, 5, 10,000 people. You say, well, it's too small. Well, it isn't really too small. I have no platform other than the podcast, which has almost 1 million people a week download the podcast. It's one of the top podcasts in the country, according to my advertising agency, not according to the people who work for Cumulus or iHeart, the two monopolies, the two radio monopolies. See, if we lived in the same country, Cumulus and iHeart would be broken up as monopolies. Because even if another syndicator comes along and wants to put a show on, they own all the stations, all the major stations in every major city. That's called monopoly capitalism. That's not capitalism, it's a monopoly. They'd be broken up by... See, I wanted to work for the FCC. Under Trump, I would have broken up those big radio conglomerates and the TV conglomerates. Notice I wasn't appointed to the FCC, you get it? Powers that be behind the scenes didn't want anyone like me in any position of power. Someone's saying, are you coming back to radio? Let me put it to you this way. I love my podcast, but I miss my audience talking to me. I see what you're saying here, but I want to hear your voices. I was the best person in the history of radio in terms of listening and hearing and having, a communion dialogue with people. I'm going to put it to you this way. I just had a discussion with someone who wants me back on the radio. And I told him, we'll decide on by March 31st, my birthday, God willing, whether I want to do this or not. Because even if I go on to one good station, by streaming it, you can call that station with an 800 number. It wouldn't matter if I'm on 100 stations, 500 or 1. I have to decide whether I want to do it. I'm doing 2 TV performances a week. I'm doing 2 podcasts a week. It's enough. I'm running a website, michaelsavage.com. I'm running my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram. I have 3 social media sites. I have 2 podcasts, and I have 2 other things that I said I'm doing, the TV shows. It's enough. It's enough. You know, there's a curve in life. Radio was my fourth or fifth career. I was 52 years old when I started it. Do you know that? That's right, you heard me. 52 years old, and I started a career, and I went right to the top. And here we are. I'm not 70 years old. I'm 81 years old. Don't tell me what I am. Now they're telling me my age, you hear? I'm 81 years old this March. I'm not 70. And I can outfox most people in the radio business who are 30. It's not about age. It's about how fast your mind is and what you really have to say and whether your heart and mind work together and whether you're telling them the truth or lying to them. You know, just getting up and screeching for 4 hours is not radio. That's not radio at all. That's a putz who's faking it with a law degree. I don't even want to mention his name because he's going to get his one day. Wait until you see he's exposed. And Hannity will one day be, the luckiest Irishman on earth is Sean Hannity. With what he has done and what he's done behind the scenes at Fox News, if anyone ever knew, he wouldn't last one more second. But okay, you listen to that. There's an audience for this guy. Every day the same thing. But you know what? I can buy and sell most of them all in a bunch. I could buy and sell all of them in a bundle if I wanted to. I don't need the money. See, that's the difference. They're greedy. They need the money. They're in it only for the money. What do they really believe? I don't know what they believe. It's between them and God. I don't care what they believe. So I want to leave you with one thought. I have a chance, if I want, to go back on radio and take callers. I'll have to decide how I feel, how America feels to me in the next 3 months. 3/31, March 31st. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. It's the darkest Christmas Eve of my life, and there ain't no Santa coming down the chimney to save us. That's all I can say. God bless America. You know, where is God? Maybe he left the theater. Maybe God got fed up with what man has done to the elephants and the birds and the fish and the airs and the waters and the places. Maybe God just, I created this. It's a mess. I'm leaving. Maybe he's in another galaxy. Maybe he's left the theater. Maybe God has left the theater. Do you ever think about that? Even Mother Teresa doubted that there was a God sometimes in her life. Even Mother Teresa doubted, if you actually read her, instead of being a dummy, I believe every second. Maybe you shouldn't believe every second. Maybe you should doubt every second and occasionally believe. What happened to my America? Who stole it from me? Who stole America from me? The communists stole America from me. The communists are still stealing America from me. The communists are destroying America. The communists are destroying God. The communists are destroying borders, language, and culture. And they're all centered in a few organizations. The ACLU is the head of the snake. National Lawyers Guild, I can name them all. I did in many of my books. God, if you're listening to me tonight, I'm going to make a prayer to you, whether you be Jesus, Muhammad, whoever your prophet is, Jesus or Muhammad, Abraham, the father of the three major religions, whether you are Buddhist, whether you're Hindu, whether you're just the great spirit that the Native Americans pray to, God, listen to me. If you can hear one man's prayer wherever you are, and I don't think you're up there, I think you're down here and in here. God, wherever you are, we need you in America. I pray you can save us from the vermin who have stolen this country from us. When the hell are you going to show your face, God? It's not enough to send us candy canes. Where are you now that we need you? Dear God in heaven, where have you gone? Where have you gone? Why have you abandoned this great nation to this gang of thieves and criminals who have not only taken away our money, but are taking away our national pride? And once a nation's pride is gone, as I have written, it can never be restored. God bless America, and may God save us from Joe Biden and his gang.